Hello guys, it's Juliana and I'm back here with another video, and I have a guest today. Her name is Nikki, and she's basically just going to tell her story of how she went blind and all that she went through. I think it's pretty cool, and well, we're going to start off with her.
Hi everybody, my name is Nikki, and a little bit about myself. I am 34 years old, and when I was 3 months old, I was shaken. Somebody had dropped me as a baby, and I had 6 broken ribs, or all of my ribs were broken, but they were healed and then broken again. Then I had went into foster care. They never thought that I would be able to walk or sit up or really do anything, and it took me a while to get to where I was when I started kindergarten. I was in and out of foster homes, and by 5 years old I had gotten adopted to 2 wonderful parents, and my mom and my dad had their own children. My dad had 3 of his own, and my mom had 2 of her own. Then they fostered a bunch of children and then adopted 5 special needs children. I'm the second oldest out of 5, and I'm the middle child out of 7. And my dad died when I was 11 years old from a brain aneurysm, and at that time, I just couldn't understand why he disappeared. And as I got older and grew up, I had learned a lot about life. So I graduated high school in 2008 and went to college in 2009. I started working at Walmart in the fabric department and going to college for early childhood education. And one evening I got up and I had went to church and I went to work, and then all of a sudden I had a massive migraine, and it was the first out of many that would make me lose or have to quit my job. So I had worked at Walmart from November to February, and I had to resign because my migraines were making me sick. Then I had went to a camp for people with disabilities, and I was great then. Then the November of 2010, I had gotten the flu, and I didn't think anything of it because it's the flu. I mean, everybody gets the flu and everybody else is okay. But by March, I had gotten up and I was lifting a thing of water, and the water was heavy. I nearly dropped it. That was the first sight of me losing muscles that I didn't realize were leaving me so fast. My little brother, I would go and pick him up and put him in his bed, and it ended up being that I dropped him a couple times. Don't worry, guys, he's okay. It took a lot of different extra times for me to realize that something major was going on. I would get up and go to the bathroom, and I would fall because I didn't understand. I was tired. I just didn't get it. And ultimately having seizures because my body was in shock. My mom had taken me, I had woken her up one night to go to the emergency room at 11 o'clock. Now I know, 11 o'clock, why didn't I go earlier? I felt fine then. My mom drove all the way to the hospital. They took me back to get a CT scan, and they brought me back because I had a seizure. They gave me some fluids and some medicine, and before I knew it, my mom is waking me up. They're telling her to keep me awake because every time I sleep, I flatline. Had I flatlined anymore, that I probably wouldn't have come back. So I really thank my parents, my mom, for keeping me up. By April, I was not able to walk. I had gotten up and I had fallen out of my bed. I ended up crawling all the way to my room was in the basement. So I would crawl all the way to the landing and crawl all the way up the steps to go to the bathroom, where my mom would find me in the floor. And she would ask what I was doing, and I said baking brownies. I told her I was baking cookies. And obviously you can't do that in the bathroom. I was hallucinating. So my mom and my niece got me up and got me cleaned up, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor wanted me to walk. My mom watched him poke needles in my fingers, in my hands, in my back, everything. And I could not feel anything. Nothing. And so they stuck me in the hospital. I was there for a month and a half, and then they transferred me to a research hospital because the hospital could not figure out what was wrong at all. And so on the way to the hospital, we did a detour because I was not breathing. I could not breathe. I had a hard time breathing, and I wouldn't let them put oxygen on my face. Crazy, isn't it? But that's what happened. And so we went to a detour and went to a different hospital and got me calmed down and stuff. I get to the research hospital. They do all kinds of tests, and they told my mom that I had Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a neurological syndrome that you can get from the Epstein-Barr virus, the flu shot, the Gardasil shot, the Zika virus, and most recently the Johnson & Johnson vaccination. So they're trying to figure out what is completely wrong with me. At one point, my eyes were fuzzy, and I started poking, popping, scratching, everything I could, because why does it look like that? I couldn't see. And they gave me something to relax, and when I got up, everything was pitch black. They also told my mom that I could also have Miller-Fisher syndrome, which is a neurological syndrome. So the Guillain-Barré is the muscle or the nerve part, and the Miller-Fisher is the muscle part. And so they weren't really sure if I had one, the other, or both, because my nerves were shot, my muscles were weakened, my neck hurt, I had no feeling. I also could not use the bathroom on my own anymore. They didn't actually know if I would make it. And I had no vision. And that was the biggest thing, that they could not understand why I had no vision. So I spent a week and a half at the research hospital. Then they gave up and said they've done everything they could. And they sent me back down to my normal hospital in my local county. I was there for a while. I spent my 21st birthday in the hospital. So I got to have no alcohol. And I couldn't, go party. And that was sad for me because I wanted to do that, experience that. So I went back down to my local hospital, and then a week later they tell me, oh, well, your mom doesn't want you anymore. We're sticking you in a nursing home. And I cried. And of course that wasn't the case. My mom told me that I was in a rehab center that happened to be at a nursing home. And so I was there for 5 months, learning everything that you teach your 1 or 2-year-old and 9-month-old maybe. Crawling, walking, using the bathroom all over again. I was in diapers, for crying out loud. Thinking that's great because you got somewhere to go if you can't get to a toilet. But let me tell you folks, it is not great. Using to put toothpaste on my fork, things that children learn, I had to learn all over. I had very little hope that I would recover. They had to give me a treatment for my syndrome, and I ended up with dots all over the edge, like chicken pox. They never really could confirm if they were chicken pox, but they were from my head to my toe. And I was in the rehab center for 5 months trying to get strength back, trying to understand how life could be so precious that one minute you're up walking and moving and able to see, to a life that's black all the time, and you're not understanding how your hands don't work like they used to. And I spent 5 months there, and then I had 2 weeks of inpatient therapy and 2 weeks of outpatient therapy. And all I could think of is that I'm blind. Like, I'm gonna look like them people on TV that just sit there. And I didn't want that. And it took me a long time to get where I am today. That I wanted to go to like a center. I wanted to be able to be independent. And everybody's hopes were that I couldn't. And so, yeah, that's my story of how I became blind. And like I said, that happened in 2010, and this is 13 years later. And I can walk 80% out of 100. I can feed myself 60% of the time. I say 60 because most of the time the food does not hit my mouth. I dress myself. My clothes might not be on inside right, but they do get on. And I will tell you that riding in a car is very scary. Movement for me, because I was shaken. Movement is scary for me. I mean, I get scared just by walking. I get scared getting in a car and going. But you know, blindness, getting sick has really taught me that you cannot take life for granted. You really can't. And just because you have something today doesn't mean you're not going to have it tomorrow. I never imagined in a million years that I would have went blind, that I would be looking at pitch black for the rest of my life with little stars, like night life all the time. And I'm scared of the dark. So, yeah, that's my story, and I'm Nikki. Thank you.
That just shows you that we all have our own stories, and there's a million different ways you can go blind. And well, you've heard my story, and now you've heard Nikki's, and they're completely two different stories. And so yeah, I just wanted to let you guys hear her story and how she went through what she went through, and to give you a different perspective, because not everyone's way of going blind is the same, and we all see different things.
And not everybody adjusts to blindness. I mean, Juliana's adjustment could be way different from mine. I, like, for the longest time was in my room. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to do anything. I said, how can I do this? Because I can't see. And what's it matter anymore? Because I can't see. Until I actually understood that I will never be able to see. That's right, never be able to see. My active nerves are damaged. So I had to really come to terms that what I used to know, taking walks to the mailbox by myself, which still can be done if you have the right mobility training, or reading your own mail, is not always going to be personal or private anymore. I had to learn to cope with all of that. I still struggle. Like, I'm at World Services for the Blind, and you know, I didn't know how to interact with other blind people because I make blind jokes all the time, but I could see. You know, what are you looking at? Can't you see that? Why don't you open your eyes? You know, so I for sure, you know, I have a shirt that says I'm not blind, I'm clumsy. So, you know, everybody takes their blindness to heart, or they react in different ways about their blindness.
Yeah, and the best way to do that is to make jokes about it, to be open about it, and to talk about it. I mean, that might not always be the first thing you want to do right after you get blind, but I feel like talking about it makes it better, or like puts it out there, and it's like makes it part of your reality. Like, you actually get to examine it and look at it and are okay with it, or get okay with it.
Yeah, because, you know, came here in February of 2023, and my first thought was there was a girl here there was nothing wrong with her. She was just blind. And I said, "Oh, you're normal?" And she just laughed at me. And I'm like, I don't mean it in a bad way, but you're normal. And she's like, "Yes, I'm just blind." And I was like, "Oh, well, that must be nice." Like, everybody at the center we go to have different eye problems, different disabilities. And so coming here and finding out, oh, there are somewhat, quote, normal people here is a great feeling, because if we were all weird, then where would we be? A circus for sure. But everybody is different, and I am glad that I came to see that, oh, blind people have normal lives too. They get sick, they joke, they get mad, they get mean, they get happy, they get sad, they get glad, they get scared. Everything that a, quote, sighted person would do, but just in their own way. And we can't do anything a sighted person can do, except maybe drive. Not yet.
And well, we might have to work a little bit harder to do what we want to do, but eventually we'll get it done in some way or another.
Exactly.
And there are no, quote, normal people, because we all have our disabilities.
Yes, everybody has a disability. I mean, even the sighted people have a disability. This is a right-handed world. So, for you lefties out there, welcome to the right world.
I'm lefty.
Yeah, so you definitely get it. There's scissors. You have to have your own scissors. And there are left-handed tools out there. Not a lot, though. And it is crazy. But you guys are very creative.
Yeah. So what would you tell to anyone going blind?
I would just say to anybody who's going blind, cherish the vision you have right now. And when you do cross all the way over, if you do not ever listen to somebody tell you that it's okay, you'll be okay. Because you may not be. And it is okay to grieve. And that your blindness is not the end of the world. It may seem like it. You really just need to sit down and think about your goals of your life, of what you want to accomplish as you're blind, because your life is not over. It's actually, I call it the beginning of darkness. Mm-hmm. Because you have your sighted life. Now you're going to live in your blind life. And you never know. You could find out things about yourself that you never knew. And, if you are going blind, I will say it's expensive. I will say it is expensive. But you're going to be happy once you get through the grieving. Mm-hmm. There's 5 stages of grieving. But let me tell you, blindness, I was sighted for 20 years. I saw people.
Videos with Nikki in it, and maybe some other people. And thanks.
Thanks.